We'll be discussing a hidden struggle that has dominated the rise and fall of civilizations for thousands of years, and how at its core, it defines nearly everything in our reality. And these two symbols may be known to those around our society, but not really understood. And those two symbols are the eagle and the serpent, that has been known as War of the Gods and War in Heaven throughout our entire history. These Anuna gods of Enki and Enlil, who in this story discusses how he's a cruel and a jealous god over humanity, and that he's threatened by how powerful the perfect man that was created, Adapa or Adama, became. The more we understand that the wisdom and the truth has been there right in front of us all along. And we simply need to listen to what they're telling us and not be controlled by them any longer. But there was a problem. As I stated, human beings were living too long. It caused us to gain too much knowledge over time. We didn't die. We were immortal to start. My name is Matthew LaCroix, and welcome to my new series called Mystery School of Truth. In this episode, we're going to start from the very beginning, discussing the human origin story and the sky gods that led to our creation. In order to understand our human origin story, we have to go back to the very beginning of the oldest tablets ever written. In order to understand that story, we have to know a little bit of history first. In 1849, the archaeologist named Austin Henry Layard discovered the ancient city of Nineveh in modern-day Iraq, in the area known as Mosul today. In that region, he uncovered the greatest library ever amassed in history, known as the Royal Ashurbanipal Library. In this library, he discovered over 30,000 cuneiform tablets, changing our entire understanding of history and pushing back our narrative by thousands of years. He uncovered famous ancient tablets, such as the Atrahasis, Myth of Adapa, and Epic of Gilgamesh. When he discovered these tablets, at first nobody knew how to translate them, and hundreds of years of history was still unknown to them, as it was known as a dead language. The Sumerian civilization had written down incredible origin stories that were simply unknown because it was a language that had died out more than 1,000 years before. It wasn't until an archaeologist and historian named George Smith came along and pieced together this missing story of history, discovering that the ancient Sumerians had not only cataloged, but put together a history that predated our understanding by thousands of years in the past, before the events of the Younger Dryas 13,000 years ago, uncovering a story of humanity that started from a very different point than we're taught in school. The first tablets that George Smith translated was the Epic of Gilgamesh, discussing an ancient story with great heroes that rose up from bloodline kings to rule over the ancient city of Uruk. The story of Gilgamesh is taught in school, but it's taught to us as a myth, a legend that doesn't have accuracy and truth based on any actual locations. But when one actually looks into those tablets, they find that the cities mentioned there and the time periods actually match up with a time period that the Sumerians discuss and later the Akkadians in the ancient region of Iraq, where basically our story begins. In Iraq, in the ancient city of Nineveh, there was a great king and ruler known as Ashurbanipal, who instead of other kings and other rulers like we've been taught about throughout history, who just ruled through empire building and war, Ashurbanipal was a high priest who valued wisdom to the highest degree. During his time period, roughly 3,000 to 4,000 years ago, he discovered the importance of these cuneiform tablets and immediately recognized their significance. In his stories that he wrote down, describing them, he discussed how they were the most important evidence from history to understand the human origin story and what occurred long ago. And he wrote about how, even at his time period, they greatly predated him by thousands of years. So Ashurbanipal, recognizing the significance of these tablets, came together with his entire army, sending them to every quadrant of the Fertile Crescent. All these ancient cities that rose up to power and then were destroyed, crumbling down in the ruins. Ashurbanipal dug through these ruins and found up to 30,000 of these tablets, bringing them all back and creating the greatest library ever known to history. Amassing 30,000 cuneiform tablets and organized them based on categories, some being laws and rules from the different time periods, discussing agriculture and trade, others talking about human origin stories and the sky gods known as the Anuna or Anunnaki.